Welcome back. We're talking with Jim Boren, Dianne Hardisty, Paul Hurley, and Judy Sly. Those who watch California politics have questioned whether California is ungovernable. Some allege that the problem is overabuse of the initiative process. First, voters appear to give mixed signals, passing Prop 13 to cut property taxes, and then passing Prop 98 to mandate spending. Second, ballot box budgeting has resulted in much of the state's budget being on automatic pilot. So, question, Paul, is, are these criticisms justified? Is the initiative process handcuffing our elected officials?
And it does need to be reformed. You need to take special interests out of the process. You need to make sure that something doesn't go to the people until the legislature has already considered it, and that there's some sort of a legislative remedy tried first. And yeah, you got to stop ballot box legislating.
So raise the bar for the initiative process?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Judy, there's some talk about redistricting and open primaries, and that may change the tone in Sacramento and our congressional delegation. You think it's going to happen before they even go into effect? In other words, how long is it going to take for those reforms to result in kind of the moderation that their advocates seek?
I don't think that we're going to see enough changes with the redistricting to have an immediate impact. I think with the open primaries, that's going to show up sooner. I know that I was talking to Kristen Olson, a newly elected GOP Assembly member, and she's quite aware of the fact that next time she runs, it won't be in a field of, strident Republicans, but could be a very much different field. So those folks are starting to realize it. I think one of the key things will be to see if we see any true independents or decline to states come forward to run and get enough financial backing, presumably from business, because it won't be the labor unions that'll be supporting them, to see if they become viable candidates, and that's what I could see really changing the landscape.
The better test, I think, of that open primary, though, in my view, is whether moderate Democrats and moderate Republicans who could not win their party's primary will actually go to the top and be either the first or second. That's what's going to moderate it, as well as you say, whether independents and third parties and others have the kind of support that also could raise the bar and be part of it.
Well, along with the reforms, there have been some recent events. Do you think that what's happened in Tucson recently, is that going to impact the tone of the political discourse? Because the rhetoric's been pretty heated over the last couple of years.
Well, I hope that we take a pause and step back and say that, we can vigorously disagree on issues, but we can do it in a respectful way. Is that going to happen as we go into the 2012 elections, a very divisive election, the presidential election, the House is up, a third of the Senate? I don't know. My hope is it will be.
What do you think?
I think some of it will depend on what the investigation comes out with and what ties, if the shooter turns out to be just someone, a very disturbed person, or if there are some ties, and then it would be more difficult for folks to, to back away from the rhetoric. But we've seen it on both sides. We've seen it on the left and we've seen it on the right, and I think there's not an editorial page editor around this table that hasn't seen it in their mail every day and continues to. So it will be. I think how that investigation unfolds is going to be an influence also.
I would hope the discourse would tone down, but people need to come to their senses, and they have to stop supporting the strident rhetoric that's out there. One of the reasons that it's become escalated is because people who make these extreme pronouncements get rewarded, either with higher ratings or re-election.
Well, they say the economics behind talk radio just is going to keep fueling this.
Well, people have to sort of come to their senses.
And I agree with you. I think voters need to apply critical thinking and challenge the claims, whether they're from politicians or from people on one side or the other of an initiative, and say, who says that's true? Don't fall for the name calling and the glittering generalities, all that stuff we learned back in school. We've seen from the initiative that voters can be easily persuaded with just a little spin to get something passed. Voters need to be more demanding.
And there's money in hate. There's money in hate. We've all seen the straw man that's put up there to frighten people in order to get contributions to a PAC or to a candidate or whatever. And unfortunately, I don't know how you back
Well, I want to end on a
that.
somewhat positive note.
Okay.
So what are you looking forward to in 2011?
Well, I mean, I hope that we attack this state budget in a very aggressive way. It's a bipartisan solution, and everybody shares the pain, and we move ahead. We have a better economy. We get people back to work. You know, this recovery is a jobless recovery, especially in the San Joaquin Valley. We need people working.
I'm going to have to let that be the last word. I want to thank our guests, Jim Boren, Dianne Hardisty, Paul Hurley, and Judy Sly, for joining us. If you want to keep up to date with local politics, you can sign up for our weekly podcast, the Maddy Forum, and the Maddy Daily, our award-winning daily e-newsletter, by just logging onto our website at www.maddyinstitute.org. Thanks for joining us. This has been the Maddy Report.